The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. If you enjoy our work, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow the links in the description. Thanks for your support, and enjoy.
Greetings and salutations, listener. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the 3 to my E, the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and today we're talking about fried chicken.
No?
No, we're not. You can read the title. I don't know why I always announce what we're talking about. It's possible because it's YouTube, and these go in a playlist, so it's entirely conceivable that you will go from one podcast to the next without knowing what you're listening to. But, I don't think that's how most people listen to our podcast. I think they check it out the week of and then move on with their fucking lives. Or accidentally.
Perfectly right. I think most people don't listen to our podcast.
Well, most of the people who do. Most of the facets of Ultimo Dragon who listen to the podcast just listen to the podcast when they want to, fuck off about a quarter of the way through, and, live their lives, which I respect. But I do live for the day where someone tunes into the podcast on one of the few that I don't announce what we're talking about, and it's just lost.
Post it in the comments if you're lost.
Yeah, post in the comments if you're lost, like and subscribe.
You won't be for this podcast, though, because today we're talking about E3. You weirdo.
Yeah.
We're talking about E3 for the year of our Lord 2018. Star date. It was a thing that happened, like every year. I don't really know how to... It's just...
I honestly feel like this was the most... And maybe it's just me, because honestly, even looking at it, it doesn't seem like it was set up that differently from last year. But I feel like I knew what was going on much more clearly this year at E3 than I have in years previous. Nothing was confusing or when does what happen? What's going on here? How do I find out what the games are? I feel like I got a pretty clear picture of what went down at E3, and so kudos to the organizers for that.
Yep, I totally agree. At the very least, their social media stuff was cleaner this year than it has been, because I even knew some stuff that was going on, and normally, I can't figure out what's happening.
I think the hashtag helped. I think, I don't know, it seemed like it ran really smoothly, with the exception being moving the people from the Sony conference to, from their yard tent to the actual conference hall, but, we're not going to have any, hard structure here. This is mostly... Because, this wrapped up Tuesday of last week. We put up the podcast in the wee hours of Monday morning. So, you guys aren't coming here for the news.
No, we're mostly just going to talk about the stuff that we saw at E3 that made us excited for one reason or another. Why don't you start?
Smash?
Smash.
I was not expecting to get 2 of my old mains back.
Tell the people about the video game.
Mario and his friends fight each other.
Oh my god, what's wrong with you today?
I'm feeling sassy. No, I when we played, I don't remember which one it was, Brawl probably. No, it would have been the one before it, right? Who gives a fuck? The one with Snake in it. I played Snake and Wolf a lot. Snake, Wolf, and Ganondorf. They were my mains. And then they took away Wolf and Ganondorf. And look, I know Fox and Falco are similar to Wolf.
But they are not the same.
I was just left with Ganondorf. And I had to try to invent new mains, and it didn't go great. I liked the Koopalings, but wasn't great with them. I didn't like what they did to Sheik.
I found a new main.
Yeah?
Pac-Man.
Yeah, you're really good with Pac-Man.
And he here too.
Yeah, everyone's here. Everyone.
That's their whole thing, is everyone is back.
They're even adding some dedicated costumes for characters like Daisy, and there's somebody else I saw that was kind of a surprise. They're bringing in Ridley and the Squid Kid. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't care about the Squid Kid, but...
Where the fuck is Waluigi?
Oh, God, you're going to be one of those people.
I am. What? You look right. Look right in front of you, you fuck.
Yeah, I know.
Who is that man?
You have a
Name
Waluigi
him.
on your desk.
I have a second one. He's over there having a nap.
Oh, that was...
This amiibo doesn't do shit for anything, and I have it, goddammit.
He has a Waluigi. He has a Waluigi amiibo, the most useless amiibo that exists.
I like anime.
Waluigi.
It's pronounced manga.
They revealed a trailer for Hideo Kojima Trolls the Internet, the game.
You know, I didn't watch it. I heard a little bit about it, and I was like, okay, it's about what I expected.
I'm convinced there's no video game.
I mean, they showed gameplay.
That's fine. That doesn't mean that there is one.
He has a gun and walks around.
Okay, sure. I don't believe it until the copies can be bought and then put online, and even then,
Was I drugged?
it's possible. There's a bunch of stuff that I don't care so much about, to be honest.
A lot of it's news. You know, it's just like...
hey, there's another Black Ops thing. Last of Us 2. Or many other games where you play a dad.
This one is about the girl.
Oh, good.
You're a lesbians.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the news we have. The game looks violent. Actually, I think there's more human enemies in this than there were Mushroom Head.
Yeah, they were cordyceps.
Yeah. But like it's I kind of like that if I follow the logic there, because it's that part of the zombie apocalypse where people are really fucking turning on each other. It's not the monsters you have to worry about so much anymore.
And since it was since the cordyceps things are apparently living beings, it's probably the part of the zombie apocalypse where the zombies are starting to thin out.
Right. I like that from a fundamental. You know, this lets me bleed into Ghost of Tsukuro. I don't have it pulled up in front of me, and I probably could. I will, because the title's important. The game looks fucking cool. But it looks like the exactly kind of fucking cool game that I will never play.
Oh, that samurai game?
Yeah.
The samurai game that isn't the new Dark Souls?
Yeah. Tsushima, excuse me. Ghost of Tsushima. It looks beautiful.
Also, that's one of those things, that's one of those cases of unintended, like, parallel thought.
Right.
Where we got a new Dark Souls that is a samurai game.
Well,
and then another unrelated new samurai game.
It's not really a Dark Souls game, I don't think.
I mean, it's a Dark Souls game. It's a FromSoft game.
Yeah.
It will control like a FromSoft game.
Sure, but I don't think it's a as free of an RPG. Think of it the difference between Skyrim and Tomb Raider.
That's fair.
Aesthetically, anyway. You're controlling a character. You're controlling
a guy.
Yeah, and you Legend of Zelda your shit up from that. Maybe that was a better comparison, Legend of Zelda to Skyrim. You know, you're a preset person. There's a preset story. It looks cool. I'll probably get it. I really like FromSoft stuff, and like that gameplay appeals to me enough more than the stuff I saw in
Ghost of Tsushima or whatever.
Yeah.
I literally, you said it 4 minutes ago.
I did. It's such a... The noun there is one of those things that's so easily replaced with a bunch of other nouns in video gaming that sound similar.
Yeah.
That it just
Look,
blows
Ghost
my-
of Pachinko looks like a good...
It's
like a good
fucking
game.
gorgeous, and it looks really cool, and like... I think people are going to go nuts over this. I think this is going to be big if it's at all as good as it looks. And it seems like it probably is. It's just exactly the kind of thing that I would be like, oh, this is really cool looking. I'll watch a Let's Play.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new Tomb Raider game coming. I will get it in 2 years, and then you will hear about it, because that's how I work with these video games.
It's coming out pretty soon this year, I think.
Yeah, so look forward 2020 to my Shadow of the Tomb Raider review. I've looked into it a little bit. Apparently they're going for a darker tone this time to fit the name. The trailer seems to show that the bad things that happened this time might be Lara Croft's fault.
Ooh.
Like maybe she went to tomb a raiding, and then you know how sometimes when you raid a tomb, a curse happen? It might be that. It might be that like the ancient Aztec deity whose shit she stole is mad about that fact, which is a strange reversal for a reboot of this series, wherein currently, up until now, she's just been the good guy, really.
I think that's kind of cool, and knowing as much as I now do about Aztec and Mayan deities, that's bad.
Yeah. Like the last game.
I also have a Waluigi hat.
God, you do it. It's just everywhere.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed. But
He's just gonna walk into your bedroom later, plastered with Waluigi pictures.
Waluigi Dakimakura on my bed.
I've been waiting.
Him doing that laying on his side.
Yeah,
like, up
twirling the
pose.
mustache.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had the same mental image there.
I'm glad you use the same voice for Waluigi as you do our roommate's cat.
Waluigi is not Eastern European.
That's fair. So, how best to explain this? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, in the last game, I don't know if I think I covered it very briefly on the podcast. I don't know if I covered it in detail. No. They actually did a lot of work with, like, Christian mythology. But like,
yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Because I watched you play it a little bit.
In a way that a lot of video games are a little, shall we say, reluctant to do.
Sure. Which is a shame.
Or at least Western developed video games.
Yeah.
Eastern, Chinese and Japanese and like Korean video games, all that sort of thing, they love it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those things that was a censorship thing in the Final Fantasy games when they were brought stateside while they were still under Nintendo. There was a lot of spells and situations and stuff that depicted holy implements and things like that were replaced with white or pearl or, you know.
Right. But in any case, the new one takes place in South America, which is cool. Or maybe Mesoamerica. Then I can't really tell just from the stuff that they've shown so far. From what I read articles from a couple different people who got their hands on it. It's pretty much the same game as the last one, with a couple new additions. One that I'm super excited about because it is exceptionally cool is you can predator up and cover yourself in mud to hide yourself from your enemies.
Sick, that's
and then
cool.
Jump out from like the dirt and kill them.
So this is like the Snake Eater of the new Tomb Raider franchise.
They're all a little Snake Eatery,
yeah.
but like they're really heading in that direction more thoroughly, which I enjoy. I really like those games. They're like, for me, they're my Uncharted. I never really got into Nathan Drake. I like Lara Croft, and I really like this reboot series. And in 2 years, when Xbox gives it to me or when it's on sale for cheap, I'll get it. Because I like it, but not that much. I looked into... I watched, like, 30 minutes, 2 different times, different, like, sections of gameplay for the new Spider-Man game.
Yeah, I missed out on this. Why don't you tell me about it?
Oh, God, it looks so great. Alright, so the combat is essentially Arkham combat. You're fighting guys. When you're fighting guys, it seems like you're fighting guys in a big open area. You get spidey sense tingles above your head when they're about to do a bad to you, and you can arrange to stop that. But whereas Batman is very like solid and powerful, and like his gadgets are there, but he's mostly just putting fist to evil's turkey neck.
Right.
Spider-Man, this is like, it's like Arkham combat, but way faster. Like, it's faster and more fluid and more, like, acrobatic.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of, you can punch people up in the air, you can throw them around, you can web them to walls or the floor, you have gadgets. Because in the continuity of this game, he's been Spider-Man for about 8 years, so he's got his shit's well established.
Sure.
You've got like web bombs and trip lines that you can place on the wall, and then when enemies come by, it will web them to the wall. Or you can, in the middle of combat, slow down combat, open up a wheel, take out one of your gadgets, and then hit an enemy with it. And when he goes by another enemy, it will web them together.
That's cool.
And it's a whole bunch of small stuff. When you fight, you look like Spider-Man. Like, you fight like Spider-Man. He's constantly quipping, and there's actually stealth-ish sections that are optional. You're Spider-Man, so you don't have to sneak around. But if you want to like hang out to the edges of the room and just slowly Batman your way around a room and just take dudes out, you totally can.
Well, I mean, that's the thing I don't think a lot of Spider-Man games have explored much. He does sneak around a lot. He's it's not the most important part of his character by any stretch.
He's not Batman.
No, he's not Batman, but he does, like, sneak into a place, maybe take out a couple guys quietly, and then fight the rest of the room.
Yeah.
Or sneak into a place, get some photos for evidence, and, you know.
In one of the sequences I saw, he snuck into a place where there was a big pit where a bunch of gangsters were hanging out with, I think, evidence for something.
Okay.
And there were snipers all along the edge of the pit. So the guy playing snuck around, took out all the snipers, then jumped down to the pit and whipped the mooks around. I saw a bit of the boss fight, one of the boss fights with the Shocker, which, I mean, if you ever want me to like a game more, put Herman in it. And, like, it was a Spider-Man villain battle. Like, I watched a fair portion of that boss fight. I didn't watch the whole thing, because I kind of got the idea. But I watched a fair portion of that boss fight, and there was not a 10-second stretch of silence.
That's cool.
Like, just constant quipping, back and forth dialogue, which feels very much like a Spider-Man comic.
That's basically why I didn't bother watching the video myself, is because they sold me on last year's trailer.
Yeah, I really want to get this game. We can't right now. Our PS4 is indisposed at the moment. But whenever I can play this game, I will.
Yeah, same.
Like, if I didn't already own a PS4, this might be a console seller for me, because I really love the Arkham games. I feel like the last Arkham game misstepped a little bit in an attempt to give you a whole city. They kind of focus too hard on how you get from place to place with the car, but the web slinging looks mystical in its amazingness. So
if it's as good as Spider-Man the movie, the game too,
and it will be. Because, I mean, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And these are the people who made Sunset Overdrive, so they're already used to...
Oh, that game controls really well.
Yeah, they're already used to really fast-moving,
Yeah.
high-pace, verticality in their movement systems, so I think this is the same company. I'm going to look that up. Why don't you talk about games?
Okay, I'm looking forward to Cyberpunk. I know a lot of Witcher fans are mad because it's not The Witcher but with robots. But... I kind of forgot this was a game that was happening. Like, I knew about it, and then it went on the back burner enough. Like, Vampire and something else that I was looking forward to coming out this year and just kind of breezed me by. But literally, aesthetically speaking, I dig the hell out of it. And it's been a long time since we've seen something... console accessible, that feels like a big game, a big studio game set in a cyberpunk setting. I guess one could argue near Automata, but that doesn't really wrestle my jimmies.
It's Insomniac or something. It's the people who made Sunset Overdrive. Insomniac Games.
I don't know why it doesn't wrestle my jimmies. Maybe it's just a little too... Maybe it appeals to Waluigi a bit much, or whatever the hell we called him. I don't know.
Waluigi.
Waluigi, that was it. Anyway, but Cyberpunk really, it looks pretty fantastic.
It's basically, honestly, it kind of looks like a video game of Cyberpunk. The role-playing game.
Which I believe that's what it is, isn't it?
It's probably licensed, yeah. Or it might be, it might not be. It doesn't really matter to me because it's a good, solid concept. I looked into it earlier today, actually, when I was doing research for the podcast, and it's a role-playing game.
Yeah.
It's a role-playing game where they say they want to try and let things develop naturally, so a fair amount of the non-essential quests will happen, like you'll see something happening on the street, and then you'll choose to get involved or not, and that sort of thing.
That's really cool, because that's one of my favorite things to do in Watch Dogs 2. Is interfere in stuff going down between people. It's not very rich or well developed. Usually I just kind of have to body into somebody or call the cops on somebody or something, but that's really fun. So if that's made into a fundamental game mechanic, into a way to get quests instead of just a mild amusement thing, that's really awesome. That's a good choice there. Of course there's the bigger announcements that we got that are, they're announcements, but there's not really a lot to go on, like Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 and could have sworn there was a third game. It was just here's a title, peace, bitches. Well, I can't think of it off the top of my head, and God, I don't care enough. I'm glad that these things have been announced. Elder Scrolls 6 being announced has caused me to get up off my ass and go back to Elder Scrolls Online. And
oh no, you got to tell him the story. You got to tell him the story now. You brought it up. I wasn't going to make you tell him the story, but you got to tell him the story now.
Okay, I'm going to try to make this a short version because we have other E3 stuff to talk about. But I bought Elder Scrolls Online. We went back and we were in the beta, and I didn't care for it, so I didn't get it. Then they had a free weekend, like a year later or something like that. They made a lot of changes. It was a much better game. So I was really into it, and I was playing it, and I bought it, and I bought some stuff for it. I'd been playing it for a little while. I'd given it like a couple weeks of a breather, and Brandy got it for the Xbox, which I don't know why my dumbass didn't get for the Xbox in the first place. I play Elder Scrolls on consoles.
Yeah, the only person in this house who ever plays Elder Scrolls on PC is me.
I even tried it once, and I was like, this feels weird, and I don't care for it. But,
It's so weird being able to aim and, like, do things well.
I'm used to the other controls. It's the same thing as my accursed, I have to invert my vertical controls because of, I believe, Star Fox 64. I got used to controlling shit that way. Intense, high-speed moments, and now that's how my hands work. And I function on muscle memory more than I do, like, thinking about what I'm doing when it comes to stuff like that. But, so she bought it, and I kind of felt stupid that I hadn't bought it on console, and, you know, I basically paid for the game when she liked it too, and I could have paid that money, and it was $50, and blah, 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 human regret crap. Well, that stupid guilt kept me from playing it for a long time. Like, it tarnished my experience enough that, you know, and I moved on to other things and doing other stuff. But when people would bring it up, it'd be like, nah, I paid for it twice, blah, 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 I'm so stupid. Well, so I'm playing it last night on the console, and or a couple nights ago. And I really wanted to try out the Warden class. I couldn't figure out what kind of class to play, but the Warden sounded cool, and it only is with the Morrowind expansion. Well, the way it's set up on Xbox specifically, I don't know about other consoles, I believe it's the same, even PC. They no longer sell the Morrowind expansion standalone outside of the in-game crown store. Now, you still spend real money in the in-game crown store, but you have to access it through the game. Well, I could buy the bundle with Elder Scrolls Online and the Morrowind expansion for $10. It was on sale. Or I could spend, what was it, $30 for the in-game crown store version of just Morrowind. So I went ahead and dropped $10 and found out that I had some credit sitting my Xbox for some reason, so I actually spent like $6 and some change. But I did, in fact, buy a third copy of this game that I lamented so long and loud about having bought 2 copies of. But yeah, I've been playing that, and the Morrowind expansion is really fun. I didn't expect it to literally drop me off in Seyda-Neen, and like that was just super exciting and thrilling, and it's still a pretty good game. I wish the graphics were as good as they could be, but it's an MMO, so of course, you know, something's got to give. We were talking about E3 though.
Yeah.
I've kind of lost my train of thought of where I was going. What's going on in your world?
I got sucked into the internet.
Okay, that's fine. Hey, we do a podcast. No, but I was saying, Starfield sounds amazing as a concept. Elder Scrolls 6, I'm glad it's coming. I'm glad we know it's coming, and it's not just, but is it though?
Yeah, it's nice to finally have that confirmation. What little we have is that screenshot, and it looks like it's going to be in a warmer climate, not Skyrim again.
If that even has anything to do with...
it might not, but I'm hopeful that we'll either get like Valenwood or High Rock or Somerset Isles. They just did an ESO expansion for that, so they might like tie them in.
I'd be surprised if we got... I'm worried that we'll get Elder Scrolls 6 on the next console. I feel like it's more going to come out
buddy,
at the end of this.
Buddy, they only really do one Elder Scrolls game a console usually.
Well, and they haven't done an actual one for this console. They re-released Skyrim.
They only do one per console. The next console.
Skyrim also came out toward the end of the Xbox 360's life.
That's true. It kind of depends on timing.
Yeah, really.
So
And it depends on how much they've actually
industry
developed.
Stuff is next consoles come out maybe a year, maybe 2 years. So if they're planning on releasing next year, maybe the end of this console. If they're planning on releasing the year after that, they might wait for the new one.
Who knows? And, I mean, it's not like we're not going to get it. It's just...
Yeah, Elder Scrolls is a mover for me. Like, I'm gonna buy a thing to get on that. I mean, I got a PC, but we only really want to buy one copy, and we're probably gonna buy the new console anyway. So.
Sure. It's man, I'm never like as much as upgrades and graphics and shit are awesome.
It's mods for me, and Bethesda released Fallout. Like Fallout 4 had mod support. I'm hopeful that that Elder Scrolls 6 will have mod support on the console as well. Especially because the mods on the console are usually like decent ones. They're like the ones that work pretty well, and I have fried a save file or two with PC mods, so...
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's cool stuff in mods, but it never feels like the same experience for me. And I don't mean that in a good way.
That's kind of the point. Like, I would not have played nearly as much Skyrim if I couldn't have changed the way the combat works, and changed the way the spells work, and changed all the perks around, and added new content. I added entirely new zones to the game that are about as big as Skyrim itself. The thing that finally did enough torturous damage to my one big like super modded save file was when I tried to add Bruma from Oblivion. Someone made a whole expansion that was Bruma, with Bruma from Oblivion like mapped into the Skyrim stuff and updated, and it didn't run very well, and then my Skyrim save stopped loading, and that's when I decided I was done.
I've tried a bunch of mods, and there were some really cool ones, don't get me wrong. I just, I don't know, it just didn't feel the same. Like, obviously, in the way that the mod makes it different, but also there was something about it that just felt off.
It's usually not as polished.
Yeah, and then we're talking about a Bethesda game here, so, like, no offense to the modding community, but that does say something. It says, you know... Like somebody else writing the last chapter of a book than the original author.
Right, no, I get that. I don't happen to agree, but I get what you're coming at.
And I don't like that that's the case. I wish that I was a little more open to it, because I've seen some really incredible mods. Like, stuff that really made me go, wow, that'd be so awesome. But then I get there and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I wish... I wish it didn't happen that way. The Winter Survival mod was probably the best one, the one I got the most mileage out of. Frostfall, yeah, thanks.
But yeah, no, that was mostly a side.
Yeah, and I was actually meaning to say that the console generation upgrade is what I was talking about. You know, it's nice to see the graphic improvements and stuff, but I don't want to buy a new console. I don't want the graphics to be better right now. Well, they're really good already. Do we have to get a new console? Like,
yes.
I know.
Like, the Xbox 360 generation lasted absurdly long for a console generation.
I like those absurd long, because here's the other thing, too, is now my entire library of games is in question.
Yes.
Is it going to be backward compatible? And the way Xbox does it is fantastic, because the way they do backward compatibility, it's backward compatible, put the fucking disc in, you've got your game. Perfect. That's how it should be, Sony PlayStation. But, you know, how much of my current library is backward compatible? I really liked this third-party game. Are we going to still be able to play that? Is it Scott Pilgrim? Turns out fucking no. You know, it's shit like that. It's a lot of...
And the digital library becomes in question. And,
sure.
But that's probably going to be less of a problem going forward, because you got to remember, Microsoft is integrating a lot of their stuff. They were talking about, you know... Like, I had heard rumors, although not from the C3, that, you know, they were thinking about integrating to the point that if you buy a game on the Xbox digital thingy, you can play it on your PC.
That's already a thing, I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that's a thing with at least certain games.
Yes.
Or if you buy it on the Windows Store, you can play
Xbox Anywhere or something like that, I think it's called.
Yeah, Xbox Anywhere. So, like... That's probably going to be less of a concern going forward.
Oh, I agree. It's just...
With digital distribution being the new norm, it's basically like, hey, the consoles have become essentially, hey, people who play console games, it's time to upgrade your gaming PC. You know, the one you just use consoles, the one you just use controllers to play with.
But, yeah, there was other stuff at E3. Obviously, Shadows Die Twice looks slightly more my speed than Ghosts of the place.
Pikmin. I'm just going to keep getting it wronger and wronger as we go on.
I had so much to talk about, and now I feel bereft of things to talk about. Like, this was such an exciting E3, and there was so much interesting stuff presented.
You're not wrong.
You know, they had the Doom thing, which I don't really care. I thought Doom was fun, but, like, I'm okay. Fallout 76, or, yeah, that's what it's called, right?
That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, what a downer note to end the podcast on.
I don't know if it's a game for me.
I'm almost certain that it's not a game for me. It is, from what I can tell, Ark Survival Evolved, but with a Fallout skin. And no thank you, I don't want that.
I know some people who have expressed interest in it, and the way they expressed interest in it made me go, oh, I hadn't thought about it like that before.
Like, alright, so with Skyrim and with Fallout and stuff like that, we've heard, I'm sure we've said on the podcast, maybe one of the very old ones, but I'm sure we have, wouldn't it be great if you could play those things cooperatively?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be good if you could do those in co-op? Okay, but not like that, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's too nebulous. It's too inconcrete. I don't have it in front of me to pick up and put my hands on it and go, is this a thing I like? You know? Like, I hear what they're saying. I get their concept. And don't get me wrong. I love the setting. I love the visuals.
I'm upset that because of its nature as a multiplayer game, they're taking out VATS. And I know why I'm upset is stupid, because they made it so that it wasn't a pause, it was a slowdown in the last game, and they've already essentially removed everything done this in Fallout 4. But taking out VATS and the stuff they did in Fallout 4 altogether just really feels like they're sucking what very little Fallout is left in Fallout out. It doesn't feel like the same game if there's nothing similar to the old games left in it.
I don't get to talk about this. I am unqualified.
I mean, it's a similar setting. It's not really even the same setting.
No, I don't... Let me extrapolate on that a little bit. I very briefly played Fallout 2, I think. No, it was 1. I very briefly played Fallout 1.
I have too. We should.
I have both of them. I just don't have a lot of patience for it. It's not my jam. It's quality, I can tell that much. But it just the isometric shit, the turn-based ranged combat in a 90s engine when I'm not in the 90s is a little bit of a hard sell. You know what I mean? But I didn't grow up with that.
I can understand that. I would really love it if the people responsible for Fallout could get the license back for maybe just like a remaster.
I think that would be really cool if they could tighten up a lot of the response times and some of the stuff, make it a little bit more intuitive. I don't even care about the graphics. I thought the graphics looked fine.
Yeah, I like them actually.
But like under the hood stuff, because that was where my biggest problem was in Fallout 1, was that I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't feel like I had great direction, but that's a very 90s thing. And 90s gaming, that is to say. And just some of the mechanics felt a little of their era, and I didn't grow up playing them. So for that reason, I never got really into those. My first Fallout game was Fallout 3. I didn't even fucking know what Fallout was until you got psyched about it and brought it home. And I enjoyed it, sure. But I don't have that attachment.
I think it's why I like New Vegas so much more than you do.
Well, I mean, I liked New Vegas. I just cursed myself.
To me, it feels much more like Fallout to me.
Sure.
Than 3 or 4 do. They say that a new proper Fallout, at least I think I heard that a new proper Fallout would be is in the works, but 76 at the very least, I'm almost certain is not for me. I might end up being wrong about that when it comes out. If it sounds really interesting, I might go check it out. But as of right now, I'm just sort of depressed because new Fallout, yay! But it's Ark though. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of those things I'd spend a lot of money on. Like, if it came out on Game Pass or something, and even if it was the full $10 price to check it out, that might be worth looking at.
Yeah, I agreed, but not... if it's a $60 title, especially because it's basically multiplayer only, with very few NPCs...
Yeah, even Overwatch isn't that expensive.
No thanks.
But just to give it a shot and see if it is my bag, that sounds like a fun time. Similarly speaking, like I know Anthem, people are really excited about that. I don't care.
Oh yeah, the game that is, if you watch any amount of gameplay of it and then you played Mass Effect Andromeda, it's Mass Effect Andromeda. Like it almost looks like Mass Effect Andromeda was the beta for several systems they wanted to use for Anthem.
I'm just not interested.
I'm provisionally interested, but not enough to buy.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Like I'm not a big fan of Destiny, but I like Destiny's world more than what I've seen from Anthem, and they seem like similar games enough that if I were to pick between the two, I'd pick the other one. Why bet on a horse that already lost one race for a franchise? Although not all is lost, because BioWare has said that they're doing Dragon Age 4 and something with Mass Effect.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out what the next Dragon Age looks like, is how they put it.
Yeah. And
they would love to go back to Mass Effect, which is much less concrete.
Well, I feel like the guy who was talking, I don't have names in front of me, really plans on going back to Mass Effect. It's just a matter of, I mean, you can't do that right now. I wouldn't.
Oh God, no! It's toxic right now. You have like 2 or 3 years before you even start brainstorming.
Let people forget what happened. Pull a Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, just go away until the nostalgia kicks in and people just remember the good Mass Effects, and then you come back and be like, "Hey, everybody, guess what's back?"
Man, I was so full of ideas and stuff I wanted to talk about, and it just flushed out of my head.
You've seemed a little off kilter this whole podcast.
I really have, not just in my wacky Waluigi related anecdotes, but I even did a little refresher on my phone. I went through somebody else's article and was like, "What happened to D3?" Oh yes, there's so much stuff that they're showing that I don't care about, like Good and Evil, Beyond Good and Evil, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, the new one.
Yeah, I don't really care. Like you said, the fucking Black Ops or whatever it is coming out, Call of Duty,
like
Soldier Heist.
Look, there are Call of Duty, death, and taxes are the only guaranteed things in the universe. I'm sorry.
They announced another Halo, which is it's a great way to get people hype. If you like Halo, I'm not a huge fan. I'm going to get off this podcast, and I'm going to be like, what was I so excited to talk about? I'm going to see it, and I'm going to kick myself so fucking hard.
I don't know, my dude.
Yeah, it's, I thought it was a good E3. I'm sure you guys have already seen a bunch of stuff. I'm sure some of you are thinking right now, "You idiot, it's this." I think maybe perhaps one of you will text me after you watch a podcast and go, "Why didn't you talk about blah?" And I'll go, "That was the thing." But, I think out of everything I've seen, I am most excited for Smash. I feel, I've talked about on the podcast before how I'm a little upset I got a Wii U just before it fell apart. But they really have made the Switch Wii U 2.
Yeah, but Wii U was a visibly dead console for a year before that.
I mean,
I feel like that's partially on you.
As hot as Mario Maker was, I didn't notice. Because Mario Maker was so fucking hot. Because a year later, it still had a raging community.
Yeah, but, it didn't have anything else.
I did not know that. But, they've released, plus versions of so many games on Switch. And while they've remade Smash Brothers from the ground up, it's the last one plus.
Yeah. So it wasn't... But with the new Smash Brothers... we might end up getting a Switch.
I've looked into the financial theories behind it, and they sound sound. But it would also be a great opportunity for me to finally play a bunch of other games that I've been wanting to, that they released better on Switch, like the Legend of Zelda Hyrule Warriors game. They made that, but better on Switch. They did Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Mario Kart, a bunch of other cool Mario games that I've been looking forward to. So maybe I can finally find out what a Splatoon is.
You're
Probably
a kid now.
not. I'll just
You're
play
a squid now.
Overwatch.
And just in case any of you listener haven't been informed, because I know I informed at least one of your multiple personalities personally, anyone who's heard me bitch about Dark Souls, and is a fan, any of your aspects of your personality, Ultimo Dragon, that has heard me whine about Dark Souls and the problems I have with it, and likes the series. I mean, I like it too now. Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
What?